So today is a really good day, isn't it? We are COVID free. We are coming out of lockdown. But I think the sad thing is it's March. I think everyone is really busy in March. Are you, Bernice?
Yes, we are really crazy at the moment, and everybody has to work overtime. Main reason that we are so busy because it's financial year end. We have to get all the tax returns done, and also because of the COVID-19 subsidy. So we're trying to help all our clients to apply, and at the same time because it's financial year end. So we have to see, it's more like giving everybody a result. Are you making a profit or a loss? And for those who are making a profit, then here comes the dividend round, where we have to distribute the dividend and pay the tax to IRD.
Talking about tax is a really scary big word, eh? Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about the tax landscape in New Zealand now currently?
Yeah, sure, not a problem, Eva. For New Zealand tax landscape, in the very layman's terms, so first of all, we got company structure, trust structure, and also individuals, so which we also call natural person. So for a company, the tax rate is 28%. For a trust, it is 33%. And then for individuals, it is marginal tax rate. Marginal tax rates means it depends on which income threshold you're at, then you're taxed at different tax rates. So tax rates can range from 10.5% to 33%.
I see. If you guys have lived long enough and worked long enough as me, you probably remember that in the old days, we have 39% tax rate. I think Auntie Cindy is bringing it back, isn't it?
That is so spot on. Yes, that's right. And effective from 1st of April this year, anybody who earns more than 180,000, anything above 180,000 will be taxed at 39%.
39%, that's really scary, eh? What can we do to better plan our affairs so that we won't be so very badly affected by the new tax rate?
I think first of all, when we plan things, we don't just only focus on the tax rate. And I would say majority of our clients, they are business owners or they are private investors, passive investors, but who has a lot of investment income. For us as a tax advisor, we always tell clients we need to seek a balance between tax and asset protection. And because in one end you may save a lot of tax, but however you are not protecting your assets and subject to people suing you, then even though you make a lot of money, you have to pay a lot of creditors, or you're personally liable to lots of claims. So I would say we need to have a balance between tax and also asset protection.
Asset protection is not a big word, Keith. What do you know about that?
Well, in New Zealand, the most common way to protect your asset will be to set up a trust. Essentially, a trust is a separate legal entity. That's probably the easiest way to think about it. It's not exactly a separate legal entity, but it is the easiest way to think about it. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to set up an entity that allows you to transfer your own asset into that entity, just like a piggy bank. And that will save you from any situation where someone wants to sue you, like what Bernie was saying, that lots of people want to sue each other now. And that's a very effective way of putting asset away, safeguarding that against the risk of being taken by a third party or by a spouse.
Okay, let me see if I can understand it correctly. You're basically telling me that you alienate or carved out my asset to someone else so that I don't have the assets anymore, and if I get sued by anyone or someone wants to make a claim against me, then I basically have no assets. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, absolutely. That is the aim.
So who might be able to benefit from this kind of exercise?
Well, it could be anybody. Like I said, the two groups of people you're protecting against will be one, creditors. So if you're in a business, then it is very likely that you will have some sort of debt. And it's very likely that through your business activity, you may have incurred some sort of liability or some risk. That could be as simple as, say, if you run a construction company, you could have health and safety risk within that business activity. As a director, you also have liabilities. So we're talking about protecting against creditors, third-party people who can potentially make a claim against you. The second groups of people that we're trying to protect against would be spouse. So anybody, or that will include any de facto relationship of more than 3 years.
I see. So if I want to avoid or minimize the risk of anyone coming to claim money against me, I would then put my asset away, but I don't put it away in any way. I put it into my trust, and by doing that, I no longer have the asset, and if someone chased me, I would have nothing to show for. Is that right?
Yes.
I understand now. So, Bernice, if this is the way how one can protect their assets, how would that work under the new tax rate?
That's a very good question. How would that work under the new tax rate in light of also having a trust and asset protection? So, new tax rate 39%.
I don't want to pay 39.
Yes, of course we understand that. And then trust tax rate is 33%. And also it can protect assets.
I got it. I put my shares or my assets into the trust, so I don't end up paying. Put everything into the trust, so I don't end up paying 39, right?
Well, the intention is to protect assets, so which is quite spot on. And so what we should review or consider is, if you run a business, you have a company, who should be the shareholders of the company? An individual or a trust?
Yes, of course, a trust.
Wow, top of the class, A+. So I think that's very clear. So what we have to consider is when a company makes profit, then it has to pay dividend. And then for the dividends to be paid out, we have an option to pay it to individuals or a trust. Given the current tax rate and also asset protection benefits, it's very apparent that if your shares are owned under a trust, is far more better than having it under a personal name from the asset protection point of view. And of course then for some reason suddenly we got this tax benefit as well.
I see. So can I just transfer my shares in a company into a trust now to take advantage of what you just explained to me?
We have to be very careful because for IRD, whatever you do, they would just say you are having a tax avoidance act. So it is very important that before you consider transferring the shares that is under your personal name to a trust, you first talk to the tax advisor. So all my clients, they will talk to me and we'll do various of tax analysis. Once that part is okay, then we'll also have a valuation of the shares that we will also prepare for clients, and also we work closely with the lawyers and ask them to help our clients to form the trust so that the shares can be transferred from personal name to the trust.
That means one would actually have to have set up a trust first, is that right?
Yes, because time is of an essence, and setting up a trust is not like just a 1 minute thing. You go into the lawyer's office and say, hey, I want to set up a trust. It's not that simple. It's a very
involve a detailed discussion.
Yes, that's right. So our recommendation is if your business, if you're running a business, you have to seek legal advice with Eva and Keith about how should I set up a trust, and then you seek tax advice with your accountant about whether there are any tax rules that you may breach if you do the share transfer. If all those are green light and the trust is already set up at the same time, then you can do the share transfer. But in any event, the assets like your family home or your residential investments, regardless, you should also consider transferring it to the trust as well. Of course, providing that you pass the bright line test as well.
I see. So, in summary, if you want to take advantage of using a trust to better cope with the new tax environment, we first talk to the lawyers like Keith or myself of Focus Law, and then after we analyze with you that you are suitable and what tax structure you should have, we then set up the trust, and then Bernice can help you to transfer your shares into a trust structure so that you will have better asset protection, and that you would have better tax planning in the long run. Am I right?
Yes, that's very good summary.
Thank you, Bernice, for spending time with us today, and thank you, Keith.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eva, thank you, Keith, and thank you all.